We read and took for our inspiration a Forbes article, which was a survey given to employers asking them what skills they wanted to see in college and university graduates. We know that we can't anticipate the marketplace, the workplace that our students are going to go into in terms of what will be there, but we can anticipate what skills they're going to be asked for. So subject-specific skills were low down on the list. What was high on the list were problem solving, communication, IT use, decision making, working as part of a team. Hence, we wanted to incorporate all of that into the T project. So the individual subject teachers worked with that. They looked at the fact that we were here in India and we had easy access to the whole tea industry, and they designed the project from that point in terms of what they wanted the content to be, what they wanted the outcomes to be, and how they were going to go about assessing that.
The major assessment piece for the transdisciplinary project was to design and market a new brand of Indian tea, and this was to incorporate a well-developed business plan and marketing video campaign. All of this was to be presented at a Dragon's Den style session in front of the teachers responsible for assessment, as well as selected other experts in education and finance. Target audiences were prescribed to provide a focal point for development.
In global studies, they'll be assessed using their knowledge of a business plan. So I'm teaching the students what a business plan is comprised of, what are the key components. We'll be looking at how to do market research so they could investigate what tea companies in India are doing and how they could bring a different or unique approach to the tea business.
I'm looking at what students are creating in terms of their visual branding of their product and their company. So we're going to do a couple of workshops on logo design, as well as advertising and print advertising specifically, keeping in mind and trying to pull together a coherent aesthetic and guidelines for their company, using their business model and their mission statement and trying to show that and communicate that in a visual way.
My task as the mathematics teacher in this project is going to be to assess the ability of the grade 9 and 10 students to back their financial plan, which is a part of their business model, where they will prepare 3 documents that are supposed to convince the investors of the validity of their plan.
For one of the final outcomes for the students, they're going to present a Dragon's Den style product briefing for us, where they're going to be marked on their presentation skills. The content of this presentation is up to students. They must appeal to ethos, pathos, and logos, and they must have an organization that makes sense and makes it easy for their audience members to digest. But what they include and how they include is up to them.
My group of students will be presenting a business plan targeting the Chinese audience, and they will incorporate elements from what they have learned in their Mandarin lessons regarding the Chinese culture, because certain things that is being valued maybe in the Western market may not have the same significance in the Chinese market.
The focus on this project in terms of what we've been looking at in science is very much on good science and bad science. The main thing that we would like the students to be able to do probably at the end of the project is to evaluate the claims that are made about tea, and specifically the ones that have something to do with health benefits. And we're keen that they have a look at the actual sources of these claims, and then we evaluate the reliability of these claims and also the experimentation that has been done in terms of establishing these claims.
While they're in Kerala, the students will be visiting a tea plantation where they'll be able to see firsthand the process from picking the tea plant to how the tea is a finished product. Through their experiences, hopefully they're asking the right questions, they're learning about the industry, and they'll be able to apply the things they learned while on site in their own business plan later when they get back to the Indus campus. Place-based learning is one of the things that makes Think Global School unique. A lot of schools around the world might be able to study tea, or they might be able to study business plans and how to develop logos, but at Think Global School we're willing to dedicate the time to take our kids and learn firsthand the process from plant to product, and to put those things into practice and talk to locals about what it means to them and how the whole system works and what the things that benefits them and the things that are hardships that they have to overcome. By By understanding the locals' perspective and immersing themselves into that culture, the students gain a more global understanding of products like tea and other things.
To sell it to the Chinese audience, they have a lot of Chinese tea product out there, so they need to know how to make their product stand out. Actually, the Chinese now are very into exotic product, so if they could incorporate some Indian elements in it and place their product in something in a niche market, that would be great.
I think this project is really cool because of the fact that we're in a Jeep, driving around Kerala, stopping at random locations, filming a commercial for our tea projects, and the fact that we're in India doing all this, it's kind of crazy.
We're going to a tea factory, and today the students are going to have the chance to pick and then blend and then produce their own brand of Indian tea.
Nosotros somos en una plantación de té en India, en Munnar. Mi audiencia es los adolescentes. Yeah, I'm getting there. Sí, de los adolescentes. Nosotros vamos a vender el té para los adolescentes. Entonces los adolescentes beben muchas bebidas que no son sanas. Nuestro objetivo es vender un nuevo té que es muy sano para la salud de los adolescentes. Yes.
Yeah. Bueno.
Qué bueno.
And who invented the tea firstly? Which country invented people there? China. Chinese people invented the tea, but they used as a medicine only. UK people only started as a beverage. Roughly, we can say every 10 days we harvest every 10 days. This is a perennial crop. What is meant by perennial crop? Throughout the 12 months we can harvest. The two main ingredients are, one is polyphenol. Polyphenol is the antioxidant. Antioxidants help to reduce the free radicals, that eliminate the free radicals in our body that cause the diseases and all. So the tea leaf is rich in polyphenol and caffeine. That is why we take this tea as a beverage.
Well, a project like this really gives our students an opportunity to really engage with the culture, or an aspect of a culture in the country that we're living in. But it gives them a purpose. So it's not just a tourist or a sightseeing experience, but it gives them a purpose and a reason to delve deeper and to explore and ask questions and experience a part of the country that we're in and the culture that we're in.
We had a long conversation about what time we would want to give to the project and to what extent we could justify having the kids collapse from their regular timetable of 8 periods a day of English and maths and science and so on. We took 5 days for that period, and we organised seminars for each of the particular areas for the project. So marketing, business plan, finance, and the students had to work as part of their team, and their decision-making process was to decide which of their resources in terms of people they would allocate to each of those different areas of the project. That worked towards a presentation on the final day, where we had a Dragon's Den style presentation afternoon with judges panel and so on. And what they had to do was really to give a summation of what they had learned in the project in that afternoon. From looking at the presentations the kids gave yesterday, the impression they gave me is that they've got lots of ideas, lots of creativity, they're thinking closely about the target audience. Where I'm concerned is to what extent they're going to bring all of that together by Monday.
I know that some of the students are really being tested with how they work in groups, whereas other people are really kind of excelling in it. So we have students from a bunch of different backgrounds that are all like bringing their own like preconceived notions and ideas about business and how they could apply it to their project, and then some people who have no knowledge of how businesses operate.
Right.
And it's just like this good mix of ideas and concepts, I guess.
For some, it feels like an opportunity they've been waiting to be given. They've thought, oh, I've always wanted to have a go at doing this, and this is my time to show that's what I can do. But some of the kids feel a little bit lost, and perhaps they're looking to other kids in the group to push them on a little bit.
Kind of tell them what to do.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how much homework they did last night, how much work they did outside of class. They had all their ideas, and they had a big to-do list for each of them.
Yeah,
see if they get a good head start on their work today.
It was cool to see the fact that they were assigning each other homework, and like the role reversal that the students felt like, man, I just assigned my classmates homework.
It's funny because as a teacher, we often use those group dynamics to try and help them put a little fire under them to get their work done because the group is relying on them. But now it's emphasized because they're actually the ones creating these group dynamics instead of us creating them.
I also think that it's really cool to see which kids are leaders and which kids are stepping up, because it might be more of like the quieter ones that just have a grasp of business that are like, wait a minute, I know what I'm doing, let's do this, and kind of taking roles that we haven't seen them in yet. So it's exciting to see them step out of their comfort zone a bit.
Yeah. Also for the specialization factor. Some of them are feeling like, oh, I'm really, really good at videography, or I'm really, really good at creating logos, and that's going to be my thing, my contribution to the group, and it really gives them some ownership. They're really proud of their work.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
We're 101 our street. It's where we studied, and there's an opening on the floor below and we think it's the absolute perfect spot to start a tea business.
We want it to be portable, so it has individual packing as well on the outside, so that would be cool. And the outer packing is also made out of anti-filter because we wanted to still make it have the traditional tea bag.
Sorry. So the Latin parlor down the street was actually closed because, well, I'm not sure the exact reason, but they used to offer $11 drinks, and it was extremely crowded, and it was very overbusy, and I think the final reason for closing.
Well, women can come and get their personalized tea and whatever they specifically need. And this is what we thought would be the best thing. We're in San Francisco, where it's very innovative, and there are many pregnant women that are just, I think, very health conscious.
There's definitely one I would invest in, which wasn't the winner. But there's definitely one group, Landers, yours, Tealicious. I would definitely throw my money behind that one, I think. But on the academics and all the rubric that Mr. Jenkinson sent us, my winner was Group C. Fatima, Danielle, Alexis, and Madeline. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. So.
You talked about that Forbes article with the kids and the generic skills that employers were looking for, the communication, the teamwork, the problem solving, the IT capability, the planning, the getting information. How successful were we in getting that?
Yeah, I think the teamwork was, from what I heard, was really, really good in some aspects, because, for example, Fatima's group, she said that they had very similar profiles working together. They were all natural leaders, they all had a lot of ideas, and they wanted to lead the group and tell the others what to do. And sometimes you're put in an office where you have to work with 3 people who you just, that happens to be the project you're in, and you have to deal with them also.
It was really good that the stress levels were so high, and that they overcame that, and then all produced a really impressive final product.
Yeah. Which I think shows that it's the right level. We kind of hit our mark there with challenging them on a personal level and a work level, because they succeeded and they struggled and they didn't kill each other.
One of the major issues that I experienced was that in my group, everyone was kind of a natural leader and had a lot of ideas. So at first it was really hard to focus all of these ideas down into one plan, and we were kind of all over the place and clashing a little bit. We were able to put our differences aside and kind of focus on the main goal, which was, to make the best business plan that we could possibly make. And I think we succeeded at the end.
So from the very beginning on, we looked who wanted to do what and then who could do what. So, and I think our group had the luck that it worked really well. We had 2 people that were really good with marketing, 2 people that were really good for financials, and 2 for business plan. And so everything like overlapped. There were always 2 people working on one thing. And so they sort of were able to control each other. And I think that worked really well. Yeah.
In terms of the final presentations, that seemed indicative that we had and they had succeeded at that level, because I thought they were pretty good.
I think it wasn't their main priority. That's all there is to it. It wasn't their main priority. The business plan wasn't their main priority.
It's left until the end, and then when you want to start thinking about your communication, it's the day of the presentation, and then
it's the last thing on the list of things to do. So.
And the one group just presented their business plan, like the document was on the screen, whereas other groups were completely appealing as if it was a sales pitch. You know?
You're right. The only reason is just that it's the last priority.
But it's in the real world, that's the priority. Without that, you're dead in the water.
They were just finishing though, weren't they, on the mandate?
And it was kind of interesting to see how that balanced, because the two groups that got poor presentation grades got great business plan grades, because they clearly spent the time elsewhere. And so one of the things that Guillermo brought up before and Jake brought up before is that like the scope of where to stop. And I think the two groups that were business plan oriented went really, really in depth in terms of what they planned for.
If they learn from that and can apply what they learned from this project to their next project, that was important. And I think they did learn.
Yeah, but they need to be more balanced across the curriculum.
Prioritizing for them, I think, loads.
So I don't know where I'll be working in the next decade, but in terms of some of these skills and with general finance, because I was one of the finance people, one of the huge skills is a balance sheet, income statement, all these sorts of things. And I didn't know how to do it at first, and that it was a little bit stressful learning how to do it under the allotted time, but I can make a balance sheet and I can write a business plan. So those are definitely some things that came about from this project. I definitely think I learned a lot.
The competition aspect of the project was something that we debated at length. We were concerned that once you introduce an element of competition, it becomes the focus of the project from the students' perspective. Whereas what we wanted to do was for the students to measure their own performance against the outcomes that we'd shared with them. However, we were keen to incorporate an element of business practice within the project, and that competition was certainly enticing for some of the students because they wanted to judge themselves against the other teams. The travel aspect was important, I think, primarily for two reasons. Firstly, we had to be there because we wanted the students to produce a marketing video for their product, and hence they had to use the surroundings in Kerala and the tea plantations to set as a backdrop for how they wanted to promote their product. That gave the whole project a sense of momentum.
Also, I really think it sort of gave more of a ground level to it, like there was some kind of relevance to what we were doing, because otherwise we could have done a coffee plantation or anything, but in this case it was like, we're going to Munnar, we're seeing all these tea plantages, because Munnar is completely, the landscape is defined by it.
And we actually got like the first-hand experience of how tea was processed, where it was made, how it was brought in, and how like everything worked in the system. And then that way, I think by going to the actual place, we got a better experience, and then we also got all the tools necessary to come up with the whole project, such as like we were provided with the filming area, we were provided how tea is manufactured, why tea is so important, and a lot of history about tea as well. So I think the trip was very necessary for our project to be successful, and it was also like we had a good time and a good learning experience.